make this a video game that is kind of like a first-person shooter, but with a lot more role-playing aspects to it. I have yet to play Morrowind, so it may Morrowind or Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, I should say, and that may actually pretty much cover or be what my idea for this video game I have. And I have a couple ideas for video games, and this is part of a, I think this would be part of a series. So if a video game company picks up on this and decide to make it, or if they want, to, I don't know, hire me or pay me some money, I have some video games which I think would really appeal to some people. Um, so I want to call it like a first-person strategy game or role-playing game, and with a bit of strategy involved. The idea would be that it would combine elements of Thief, which where you're kind of moving around, but also elements of Grand Theft Auto, in that you basically think of a medieval setting, and in particular, like the best example I can give is Romeo and Juliet. So you have a city with a prince in charge, and then there's two aristocratic families who are vying for power. Capulets and Montagues, and you start out as a simple little guy, and you can join either of these families, or you can even join the prince's faction as well. And in fact, that's the name of the game I came up with was Faction, and it's this idea that you can join their group and rise up through the ranks. So you can start out as a little kitchen boy, running errands, and then which could involve different things. You can like fight rats, to increase your experience, but also, just running little fetch quests and errands, stuff like that. And once you gain enough prestige within the faction, you gain a rank, or you can advance a level in terms of the hierarchy of that group, of that faction. And so you can become like a thug. And so you go around with a guy to different things. If you're supposed to go beat up somebody, you do that, or if you go collecting money, and other little things like that. It's basically you're meant to be a bruiser, and you keep doing that till you gain enough prestige, and then gain another rank, and then you can become an agent for that faction. And meaning that you're given missions, and you can recruit thugs to go with you. You have some money you can use money to buy things, like buy property, or you can cause things to happen, and so you have a certain amount of freedom. And if you keep doing that, you can gain enough prestige that you become a family man, like a family member, like you marry one of the women in the the ruling family, or you can even become adopted. And so because of that, you become part of the family, and so you have a lot more freedom, a lot more access to wealth. Um, you can run around and kind of do stuff on your own, and the only person that's going to chastise you would be the leader of the family. So just an interesting idea like that. I got a long written out idea of this as well. But here's the other aspect: is the game is very open ended, like Grand Theft Auto, and so you would have these elements of like Thief. So say you wanted to rob from another faction. Um, you can literally just scope out the you know the compound that you're going to go raid, climb over walls, go across rooftops, sneak in through skylights or little attic crawl spaces, get to where the vault is at, and do stuff like that. The other thing you could do is you could start your own faction, and the way that would work out is you would kind of need two things. You would need a vault, and you would need a place to put your money, and you'd need a headquarters. So a place that the people who are part of your faction could go to and interact with. And it would kind of, and the headquarters it would kind of be like a message board in some way, so that you can post missions you want done, which could be anything, like recruit more faction members, go attack this or that guy, have this done, sort of thing. And and you need the vault because you have to pay people, so people are going to stick around with you if they're either loyal to you or they're getting paid. So that's another aspect of that. Every person in the game world would have a certain loyalty towards your character, either in positive or negative. So if they're negative loyalty, they'll leave it, ignore you. To if it's a really great negative loyalty, they'll attack you, kind of thing. But if it's real positive loyalty, if they see you in trouble, they'll help you out, kind of thing. Um, so in some ways, you could start out as a little scrub in a faction, rise up through the ranks, um, to the point where you're a family man, and then if the leader dies, you can who knows, you might be in a position to take over, or you could even assassinate the leader or assassinate most of the family in some way. And as long as nobody sees you doing it, or they can basically connect the dots and realize that you did it, which would be real interesting if you can make the gameplay work. I think that would be it'd be very fulfilling, very interesting game experience to do that. And like I said, you can develop your own faction. The game world would be, say, like a couple different cities that you can move around in, and you could set up your headquarters outside of a city, inside of a city. The other aspect of this game faction is that, like I said, you can start any kind of faction. So you could set the rules for that faction, how the members can identify each other, or if it's to be a secret faction, a secret group. You can have, people who are part of different factions, but they're loyal to you, or they're secretly working with you in some way or another. And you can also just approach things in different ways. So you can start out as your own little businessman, hire people to do things for you, and eventually become a faction unto yourself through that method. Like I said, I think it'd be a very interesting game. The combat would be, the first person running around, hack and slash and bow and arrow and stuff like that. And I think you could also throw in, some full-on, like a little small unit, army action, which I think it'd be capable of. And the other aspect is that you can buy a piece of land and build any kind of building you want on it. So there would be some, prefab models, but then you can decide on painting, or what sort of, how you want guards there, or if you want a certain type of vault, or certain locks on your doors and this and that. And there'd be all sorts of skills. So I would like to see that video game being